The Celtics, you mentioned them and the Cavs in the East. You watched that game last night. This felt like a bigger moment maybe in the Knicks season than it just would be on paper. It's one of 82. They're not catching the Celtics for the 2 seed here, but that was a dagger-type moment. It just felt like in terms of the Knicks trying to claw their way in, show you're a factor, and then for Tatum to do what he does. In that moment, it seemed just to create, even though, again, close game, goes to overtime. It just felt like one of those moments where the Celtics showed again why they're going to be thoroughly in the mix.
Oh, yeah. I mean, Boston is I think Boston is favored against Cleveland in that eventual Eastern Conference Finals matchup. Game 7 would be in Cleveland, but Boston has too much experience, too much depth. And when Kristaps is on the floor, I mean, I don't know how you guard them over a 7-game series. So, I mean, Boston is absolutely still there. Like, to your point about the Knicks, I think they were, in fact, I know they were winless against Cleveland and Boston. Coming up as I did in the NBA during the LeBron Cleveland years, I always like to say and think that what happens in the regular season is not necessarily a harbinger for a team's chances against any one other franchise in a 7-game series. The Knicks are third. They've done it with, they've had some injuries throughout the year, and so that's still a pretty good season. What they need to figure out is how do they survive that second round matchup against Boston? How do they figure out, how do they overcome the depth of the Celtics and, being a worse defensive team than they have been since they got good again in New York? How do they make up for that? I mean, they're not quite as dynamic of an offensive club as the Celtics are, as Cleveland is. Cleveland still has the number 1 offense in the league, but they have stars, and they have a little bit of size now. So we'll see. But I think to your point, it's just, you can call it deflating, you can call it a reminder, but just in a regular season campaign to not get one win against either of those two franchises is it's a bummer.
We just showed the Eastern Conference standings there, and I say this mostly kidding, but when you look at who's going to be in that play-in tournament in the East, is there ever a scenario where the NBA just scraps that, just basically says, like, this is awful? I know the Heat and the Bulls are both winning right now, but you got multiple teams going in at 7 games below 500. It just feels like,
right.
As the NFL considers things like not giving a team with a losing record a home game in the playoffs, that maybe the NBA would be like, all right, you got to be at least with a 500 team to actually get into this thing.
Yeah, I mean, the Magic you can be okay with because that they played a huge swath of the year without Wagner and then without Paolo. So 39-40, maybe by the time it's all said and done, they get over that 500 mark. How do they match up against the Celtics in a first round? I mean, the Magic can't shoot, but they are good defensively. So that would, maybe give the Celtics something to think about. I want to differ with you a little bit on the other side of that bracket. Chicago, after just a miserable season, where they end up having to trade, Zach and I mean, it looks like they're going, the way of a rebuild. And here they are again towards the bottom of the play-in, except they're 12-7 over the last month. And they have been pounding teams. I don't like them in a first round matchup against Cleveland over 7 games, but they're can I say they're a tough out? I mean, I kind of like them to get through the play-in. I kind of expect the Bulls to be that first round matchup right now against the Cavs. And that's just a testament to the players they have there, to Billy Donovan. Kobe White has just been awesome. They didn't play any of those guys. I think they sat like 5 regulars last night in Cleveland to gear up for tonight's matchup against the Heat. They have they're tied with the Heat. They own the tiebreaker. So you think the winner of that game is going to end up hosting that 9-10 matchup in the first round of the play-in.
Catch the Rich Eisen Show live weekdays from 12 to 3 p.m. Eastern on Roku Sports Channel in the U.S.